kind of shifting gears a bit, we've talked a lot about change. So now I want to dive into specifically change in regulation. Um, so the role of regulatory change management, or RCM, has become increasingly important in light of the pandemic, even the US election. Um, so what types of RCM best practices can firms implement as the regulatory response to these situations continue to be very fluid? As we've explained in the previous question.
Right. Well, I think, as we just chatted about, really that movement towards how do we manage the risk of having our entire workforce work from home? How do we expand the definition of key players in our business continuity practices? But I think the other thing that we'll see are going to be very specific to what we've gone through this year. I mean, we're seeing already and almost immediately in my own practice and with clients I've been working with, a lot of emphasis on the COVID loan fraud and PPE fraud and fraudulent PPE sales. Like those are things that are going to be part of our lives as auditors of financial institutions over the next year or longer, probably much longer. Just like after 2009, we had all of the mortgage litigation and the fraud units, and we saw compliance stood up to a new level. I think we can expect to see change around that as well.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the best practices to deal with those types of issues, is there one that kind of stands out to you as a standard best practice, or perhaps even one that you just straight up disagree with? Kind of a controversial question, but
I think that much of this will be driven, as always, through our technology practices, and specifically when we're talking about fraud or some of the operational risk, we'll see that through transaction monitoring, again, just like we have with violations of sanctions or cannabis money flowing through banks, drug money. I think that institutions are going to stand up, and they already have, they're going to stand up what we call red flags, which are transaction monitoring flags that notify monitoring teams that there's an irregularity. So I really think it's going to be driven through tech, just like the rest of what we do. And that has been controversial throughout the years. Even if you look at anti-money laundering red flags, sometimes, and suspicious activity reporting, sometimes those red flags do not work properly. So that's been controversial in the past because those red flags may catch an entirely innocent transactional behavior. And I believe that the same could happen with the red flags we design into our transaction monitoring now. But the beauty of the way it is set up is that there always is a compliance team reviewing those red flags. So I think the controversy will be there, but we need to rely on the expertise of those teams to ensure that red flags are appropriate and the cases of fraud or whatever comes forward through this is handled correctly, and not stopping there, but that those systems and those monitoring tags are really tightened up to where they're not identifying as positive.
Yeah, like they're clearly being overly aggressive. Definitely on the conservative side. I guess better to not miss anything.
Right. But that's something we've seen in compliance for ages. If your system settings are too low, you're going to get a lot of false positives. They're too high, they won't catch enough. So I think that will apply to additional monitoring that will be done coming out of COVID for fraudulent activity. It's all about getting those systems settings correct. We do a lot of testing around that. Anytime internal, external audit or monitorship, you are regularly testing, do those system settings accurately reflect the risk of the bank, and are they identifying properly the number of positives? So I'd say we'll see a lot around that.
Yeah, definitely puts an emphasis on the continued role of humans. I mean, technology will exist, but you definitely, at the end of the day, need the expertise of a human. It's just the tech is supposed to help enhance the overall process, not replace it.
Right.
And clearly, tech might still need to be calibrated a bit more before it's truly fully efficient. But
yeah, I mean, a good illustration of this is a ways back when we really started to see marijuana money move through the banks. A lot of the banks, to capture transactions that were related to marijuana, would establish a keyword in their system, and that could range from marijuana to weed to spa to salon. So
interesting.
or perhaps medical. And so you had all of these banks all of a sudden come back with thousands of but some of them were mom went to the salon. Like mom did not go to the marijuana dispensary. And I think, that's where technology, we are smartening up technology, because we are learning that you don't put the word salon in, you don't put the word medical in, but you drill down a little further, and then you set up system settings accordingly. So, that's going to apply to any transaction monitoring we'll be doing for COVID fraud, PPE fraud, etc. We're not going to be able to put in keyword COVID. It'll be over.
By no means. You might actually break the technology at that point.
Break the